Okay, so I'm using the live feature on YouTube. I don't normally do that. I normally use StreamYard, but I thought I'll give YouTube's own studio a go. So I'm just having a little look. So welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a live stream. I don't very often do a live stream like this, and I've not got anyone watching at the moment, so this is purely for anyone who watches on the replay. I've got one person. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happened, answer your questions if anyone jumps on, and what the future holds. It's a little uncertain, but it is what it is. So I'm well aware that a lot of you watch my channel and subscribe to my channel because I was a bus driver. So welcome to you all and thank you. Some of you because it was a vlog, and some of you even for the photography videos. So it's a bit of a mix, but I do try and combine it all. So yeah, welcome to you all. I do have notes, so forgive me. So the bus driver photographer, if you've watched for any amount of time, you will know that the bus driver photographer, although the channel started off as POV photo walks and photography, when I went back into bus driving, it turned into like a bus driver's vlog, which, as I said in a video a couple of weeks ago, that was never the intention. It just sort of happened. So because that's what I was doing, and because of the hours, let plane go over. Because of the hours I was working on the buses, it just made sense to vlog about my day and try and incorporate that and the photography. If you look at the earlier bus vlogs, there's still a heavy photography presence there. Because the timings on the buses, certainly with Brighton and Hove, are so tight, I didn't really have the opportunity to do any photography. So the photography aspect sort of reduced a little bit. Whereas now, I'm not a bus driver, so that you'll have noticed that photography side of it's come back, because that's where my passion is, the photography side of it. So do I regret going back to bus driving, stopping taxi driving and going back bus driving? In one aspect, no, because I've met some lovely people. Obviously, Lee, that's been on the channel a couple of times, he's become a good friend. I've not spoken to him for a little while, actually, but he's become a good friend, and I've met some truly lovely people. But as a whole, it was a mistake to go back bus driving. The reason I did it was because of COVID. At the time, I was a taxi driver, which I did enjoy. Bloody seagull. I, I did. Shut up, noisy bastard. Yeah, I did enjoy it, the taxi driving, but when COVID hit and everything got locked down and all the rest of it, I just lost all motivation for it, and it just lost its magic. And I decided the only way forward really was to go back into employment. Um, I went back to bus driving because it's what was familiar. And even as I was filling out the application form for Stagecoach, I had a gut feeling saying that I shouldn't do it. And even as I'm filling out the form, I'm saying to myself, this is a mistake. You shouldn't do it. You hated it. You shouldn't be doing it. But I ignored that and did it anyway. And yeah, the at Stagecoach, it was nice. The novelty of it was still there. Um, Obviously, it was new routes, lovely people. Um, and then I made the mistake of going back to Brighton and Hove, where it all began. And they do say you should never go backwards, certainly in your career. And I knew that was a mistake. I did it for the money, nothing else. Um, but yeah, and I knew it'd end badly. I knew it'd be a mistake going back, and it was. Um, it didn't take very long for me to be reminded of the reasons why I left in the first place back in 2015. And it's a darn sight worse there now than it was back then. Um, so, yeah, it was a mistake going back to the buses, and I do sort of regret that. I should have either persisted with the cab driving or concentrated on YouTube more back then. But the channel wasn't anywhere near the size that it is now. So yeah, it was a mistake. I do regret going back to the buses, but I don't regret catching up with the people that I knew from there before and meeting some new people. Okay, I've met some arseholes as well. You know, not every bus driver's nice, but the majority, the vast majority, lovely people, you know, and I'm glad I went back purely for that. And as I say, with Lee, I've made a really good friendship there, and I get on well with his wife and kids and stuff like that. So if I hadn't gone back bus driving, that wouldn't have happened. So every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. So what now? Obviously, I've left buses. I have sort of covered that as much as I'm going to in the Q&A video, so I'm not going to go into that now. I've left the buses. I've registered as self-employed because the idea is to do YouTube full-time, make content full-time. However, I'm still not getting paid from YouTube. So money is becoming a little bit tight. I have applied for a few jobs, a couple of jobs. I haven't heard back from Compass. Don't know what's going on there. But honestly, I think that this whole saga could just well be fate. And the reason I didn't get the job back at Stagecoach and the reason I'm not hearing from Compass is possibly because it's just time for me to move on from bus driving. So I have applied for a photography job, taking photographs for this company of what was it, schools, I think it is. They have contracts with schools to take photos. And also I've applied for I can't remember what it was. It's essentially driving a minibus, taking children with special needs to and from school. The reason I'm looking at those sort of things is, one, it's not bus driving, and two, it still allows me enough time to make more content. So I've applied for those. Obviously, I'm applying for universal credit, which I can do as self-employed anyway. But that doesn't quite cover enough to cover my expenses. So I do really need to find something else, or get to the point where I'm earning off of YouTube. And I need to do that quite quickly. Which is why I've set up, I've joined the Amazon affiliate program. The links are in the description below. The things that are there are related to the things that I found useful when I was bus driving. They are actual things that I used. And also because I'm sort of pivoting more towards photography and travel, keeping up the vlogging, there are items there for travel and stuff like that. So if you're interested in anything like that, or you're in the process of becoming a bus driver, go and check out those links, and you'll be helping me out as well. But that brings me on to the pivot of the channel, like the direction the channel is going. Obviously I'm no longer a bus driver, so it won't be any bus driving vlogs. However, I will be keeping up a bus theme. There will be bus themed videos coming up. As you may have seen, I've released 2 in the last week. Tips for becoming a bus driver, and what was it? Tips for becoming a bus driver, and the second one was answering a really common question that I get, and that is, how do you learn the bus routes? So I released that video yesterday, so go and check that out after the stream. So yeah, I will be keeping up bus themed content, but there will be a lot more photography. What I need to do is try and link the two. So what I'm thinking of doing is going to somewhere where there's a nice scene that's also a bus route, and try and get photographs of buses coming through that scene, and try and get artistic photographs of buses. I know that a lot of my viewers are bus enthusiasts, and I'd imagine that you take photographs of buses yourselves. I know your intentions are probably different. As far as I understand it, you collect the numbers and the types of buses and stuff like that. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, you'll be well aware that I know absolutely nothing about the types of buses and kinds of buses, and the body types and all the rest of it. Quite often I wouldn't even know what bus I was driving, let alone what anyone else was driving. The extent of my knowledge of buses is, you've got the ADL, you've got Wright, Volvo, Scania, and that's pretty much it. I know the ADLs are what the 700s are with Stagecoach, and the blue buses at Brighton and Hove. I know the Wright are the street deckers, like the 800s, which they're probably the only ones that really stand out because they're awful. and a Volvo is the 400s, and the Scanias were the 600s, which have now gone. But that's literally the extent of my knowledge of them. I know how they drive. I can tell you how they drive. If you tell me 809, for instance, I know that it's a pile of rubbish, and you put your foot on the accelerator and it feels like it's not going to move. And then when you're braking going downhill and the retarder turns itself off, even though they say that it doesn't, it does. When you're going downhill and you're braking and all of a sudden the bus shoots off. So that sort of thing sticks in your mind. So I can tell you how they drive, but yeah, I couldn't tell you what type of body they are or the whole enviro thing. Haven't got a Scooby. But yeah, what I'm going to try and do is go out to different places where there's a nice scene and try and photograph buses coming through that scene. I'm also going to move more into the travel vlogging scene to a degree. So again, I'm going to try and link the three, because obviously the bus industry sort of goes with the travel industry. So, and my general style is vlogging anyway. I quite enjoy vlogging. So, and if you travel somewhere, you're going to take photographs. But I've been watching quite a few travel vlogging channels on YouTube, and it doesn't match to what I want to do. So most travel vlogging videos, from what I've seen, go there, they go to a particular place and they take all cinematic footage and stuff like this, showing off the place where they are, which is fair enough. But for me, yeah, okay, that's a travel video, but it's not a travel vlog. They're not really showing their experience, their true experience. And I was watching one yesterday where even he said it's almost like we're faking it. Like they miss out on a lot of stuff when they go to places because they're making the video. And I'm like, well, that's not what I want to do. If I do a travel video like the one that I did in Lisbon, okay, I could have done it a lot better. I could have got footage of certain things that were happening around me, like when we got kicked off the bus. I could have got footage of that, and I didn't. But I just didn't think. But for me, if I go to somewhere like Lisbon, or if I go to Brighton Marina, which is a video I've just done, or if I go to a location, I'm going to film my experience of going to that location. I'm going to vlog that experience of that location. And as you know, I'm ultra honest, so I'm not going to fake it. You know, I'm going to show what I see. I won't get footage of places that I haven't been to or I haven't, seen myself. I might get a bit of B-roll footage, stock footage, to highlight the place at the beginning to show where I've gone to, but the actual video itself will be me experiencing that location the same as you would if you went to that location. So as and when I do the travel videos, they're going to be authentic. In order to do that, I need to create travel videos. So I will be visiting various locations in Brighton, like I've just done Brighton Marina. The trouble with that is I've lived here my entire life. So it's a real struggle to find something that's interesting. So what I need to try and do is think of it as, if I was visiting Brighton for the first time, how would I experience this? It's a very difficult thing to do. So that will be a work in progress. The benefit of doing this in Brighton is I can give accurate or relatively accurate travel information, like how to get to a certain place, what buses to use, and stuff like that. So I can do that. The other part of it is obviously I need to keep the bus enthusiast community engaged as well. I'm not going to forget you. So I'm going to be exploring good places to take photos of buses. I see a lot of people at Churchill Square and the Holstein taking photos of buses. And yeah, okay, I get it, because that's the hub, isn't it? That's where most buses go through. And you want to see as many buses as you can and take their numbers or whatever it is that you do. But for me, if you're going to go to the effort of taking a photo of a bus, don't go to places like the corner of Churchill Square, for instance. Yes, you're going to see a high number of buses, but every bus goes through there every single day. You're not going to get something unusual. You're not going to get something that stands out. Whereas if you go to, say, down by Preston Circus, for instance, sit yourself up so you're looking at the fire station, so you've got a bit of a scene, or the viaduct, you've got a bit of a scene there. You've got far fewer buses going through there, right? So if you get a bus that isn't normally on a 5, for instance, that's going to be unusual and that's going to stand out. That's the way I'm thinking about it. If for instance, you just want to get as many buses as you can, fine, you do you. But for me, if you're going to photograph a bus, you want to, for me, I would want to, one, have a nice scene for the bus to be in. And two, I want to capture a bus that's where it shouldn't be. So, for instance, if, I don't know, one of the Whitehall buses, I use a Whitehall bus because, as far as I know, they're in the new livery, whereas all the ones at Conway Street aren't. So, and they've also got the green ones that go along the coast. So if one of those come down underneath the viaduct, right, that's different, isn't it? That's interesting for me, and that's worth taking a photo of. So yeah, that's the idea behind how I'm going to keep the bus enthusiast community of the channel engaged, hopefully. Let me know in the chat or in the comments what you think. I'm also planning on, when I get some money together, exploring different bus routes as well. Get a discovery ticket and go off and see if different locations that are on bus routes, or can just go out in the car. Because there are bus routes that I don't know. Most of the metro bus routes haven't got a clue on. So yeah, and obviously I'll be vlogging the whole thing because that's the style. I do quite like the POV as well, putting a GoPro on my chest and just going. And I've been seeing that's the best new way of vlogging. I don't know. It's still, although I've been doing YouTube a long time, 5 years it is, a coming up to 6 years actually. It's still a learning process because people's tastes change. People's tastes in videos change. So you need to, and life changes as well. So you need to adapt, which is easier said than done. So yeah, that is the general plans and how I'm planning on incorporating everything together. I will be answering questions. If you have questions, leave the questions in comments of the videos, and if I can make a video to answer those questions, I will. So yeah, no one's in the chat, so I think that's all my topics. I was meant to break it down into segments, but I sort of done it all in one hit. So yeah, if you like this sort of thing, hit the like and subscribe button, and leave comments. Let me know. Have I ever driven on the right side of the road? Yes, I have. Not in a bus or a coach. I've never done coach driving actually. I drove down to Euro Disney. This was a long time ago. Drove down to Euro Disney. It was all right actually. It was an experience. But the way the port was set up, where was it? We went over to Calais and drove down from Calais. So the way the port was set up, it automatically put you on the right side of the road anyway. And yeah, it was nice actually. The roads were nice, and it was relatively easy. The only downside of it was obviously I was relying heavily on the sat nav, and coming back, the sat nav was insistent that we were going to go on the train, the Eurostar, but we were booked on the ferry. So yeah, the sat nav obviously took us to the Eurostar, and every time I changed it back to the ferry, it just changed back to the Eurostar. So I had to work my own way out from there and get away from there, and then it clicked on that we were using the ferry. So that was the only issue. And a roundabout, I looked the wrong way on the roundabout once, but yeah, that was interesting. It was good fun though. I enjoy doing things that are slightly different that I haven't done before. So yeah, any other questions? If you've got any other questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can. Has anyone been down the Holstein recently? What do you think of what's going on down there? If you have, if any of you are from Brighton, you might not be from Brighton. The last time I went down there, it looked a right mess. Okay, so I've got a few ideas on places that I want to go to in and around Brighton. Um, I'm planning on doing a photo walk along the bottom of Brighton Beach, um, between the West Pier and Brighton Pier. Um, it was actually an AI suggestion, and when it come up with it, I was like, do you know, I haven't walked down there for probably about 20 years. I've no idea what's down there. Um, so yeah, I'm going to do that at some point and go on the pier. I haven't been on Brighton Pier without the kids for years either. So I'll be going down there. Preston Park, the Rookery. The Rockery I haven't been to since I was a child, and so I'll be heading over there. And basically, I'm going to be going to the touristy places of Brighton and try and be a tourist in my own city. Have you ever tried that? Be a tourist in your own city? Easier said than done. So yeah, that's what's going to be coming up. And if I get any other questions, I may make videos to answer those to do with the buses and stuff like that. And I'm going to be looking for decent places to photograph buses. So that's what's coming up. So if no one's got any questions for me. Have I ever driven a double-decker bus? Yeah, all the time. It's Brighton, Hove, and Stagecoach. That's pretty much all I drove. As Stagecoach, I've got some single decks, but yeah, all the time. That's mainly what I drove: double-decker buses. It's easier than you would think driving a double-decker bus because unless there's the only thing you've really got to be conscious of is low trees and low bridges. Apart from that, the height of it doesn't really matter. It's more the length and the width of the bus that catches people out more than anything. You need to be very conscious of the width and the length, especially when turning. The height of it doesn't really matter. Obviously, you've got to be conscious of people that are going upstairs, moving about upstairs, and what's going on upstairs. But the general driving of it, it's no drama. Any other questions? What would you do if a person got into your bus and didn't pay the fare? So what I'd do in that scenario, dependent on them, is if they get on and go and sit down and they've got a bit of an attitude and all the rest of it, I just wouldn't move the bus until they got off. I've had that a few times, and not once have I moved the bus with them still on it. They've always got off in the end. If they're super aggressive or they're likely to kick off, sometimes you're just better off taking them. So it really depends on the situation, but more often than not, I just wouldn't move the bus until they got off. Do I have an interest in photographing people as much as I do buses? First off, I don't have an interest in photographing buses. That will purely be for you guys, the audience. The interview, you could do a James Corden style vlog interview with your taxi customers. If I went back to that, yeah, I've thought about that. It's a bit more complicated than what you think. So it's a good idea, but in a taxi, you've got data protection. So you're not actually allowed to record passengers in the taxi other than the CCTV, which the taxi driver has no access to. That's locked. If the taxi driver wants a download of the CCTV, they have to go to an external company. The council have access to it. They can get a download whenever they want, but the driver can't. So yeah, there's that side of it, and I'm not sure I'd want to do that because the trouble is with people is they'll say one thing, they'll say, oh yeah, all good fun, so you do it, you release the video, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, take it down, and you've got to take it down. So as for photographing people, I've done street photography a little bit, just to practice my photography skills and video making skills for POV. And I do like doing a bit of street photography, capturing the scene and trying to capture the story. I've never really done portraiture, other than my kids. I've got a few photos of my kids just above me there. So yeah, I wouldn't mind giving it a go. And that's what sort of appeals to me about the job that I've applied for, because it says that they have school contracts, and you've got to go in and photograph their events, including getting some candid shots. So because this channel actually started out doing street photography, which is candid shots out in public, that does sort of appeal to me somewhat. Would I do it professionally? I suppose I would be doing it professionally, but doing things like weddings and stuff like that, I'm not sure I could handle the responsibility of someone's photographing someone's wedding. That's a major deal. If you muck that up, you know, what do you do? And I wouldn't know how to pose people and stuff like that. Yeah, I could learn. I know I could learn, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having a go at it, but I think I would have to do it as an assistant to start with. I think if I could find a professional photographer and be their assistant and be the ones taking photos, the candid photographs, and letting them do the poses and learning from how they do that, I would do that. But yeah, I would have a go at portraiture, just on a friendly basis. Like if a friend come up to me and said, "Would you take a photograph or whatever?" I'd do that. But yeah, doing it in a professional capacity, yeah, I don't know. I think I would struggle. But is that a limiting belief? Is that my own limiting belief and imposter syndrome? I do suffer heavily from imposter syndrome. Um, but yeah, as for going back to the taxis, it is something that I've looked at, but it's expensive. it's expensive to get started. I would have to retake the knowledge, which depending on which one you do, I think that's like 200-300 quid. Then you've got to buy a car, so you if you can get one on the Never Never on a hire purchase, you look in the deposit, which is a few hundred quid, and then what was my car? £255 a month payment, and the cars don't actually last that long. I was taxi driving for 6.5 years, and I went through 2 cars. I do miss my cab though. I would go back to it if I could afford it. I'll probably do Uber now though. Probably going to Uber. Is there any other questions? Do I holiday in Thailand? No, I've never been to Thailand. Oddly, many years ago, I was friends with the landlord of the Montpellier pub in Brighton, and they went off to Thailand, and they offered to take me with them, but I declined. Maybe I should have. They offered to pay to take me to Thailand. They were off, I think they were going off touring in Thailand, but yeah, maybe I should have. I was only young at the time, though. About 18, 19. Probably would have been a good time to have done it, really. It's one of those decisions where you look back over your life, decisions like that, and you think to yourself, what would my life be now if I'd said yes to that and not no? Who knows? Any others? Ugh. I love that idea of getting candid shots and using your people profiling skills. Well, yeah, I do try. I do try with that. I don't think I'm so great at that. I do keep trying, though. Constant practice to get those stories out of them. If you're interested, I think you'd be great at that as well. Yeah. I sometimes think people reading, I sometimes think, obviously, because I'm autistic as well, that when I look at someone or I'm watching someone as a third party, I can do it. I can watch their body language. I can look at what they're wearing. I can look at where their feet are facing. I can look at I can see the micro expressions and stuff like that. But when I'm engaged in a conversation, I can't seem to do it. I get so focused on the conversation, I don't see the body language, and that could and I think it quite possibly is an autistic thing, because I don't register what their body language is saying. So if I'm talking to someone and they're getting bored or a bit upset with what I'm saying, or I've hit a topic that's inappropriate, like a good example is I was talking about my nephew, and I was talking to my nephew, and what I was saying apparently the auntie wasn't so keen on, but I wasn't picking up on those cues. And it was actually my ex-wife pulled me up later and said, you're on a bit of a line there, because like they weren't happy with what you were saying, and I had no idea, didn't see it at all. So it's a bit of a tricky one, that, for me. Did you ever get abused by people when you were driving buses? How did you cope with that? Yes, I did, and it happens a lot. Bus drivers get abused an awful lot. I honestly don't know why people think that's acceptable. It's not. Um, at the end of the day, the bus driver's there to do his job, to drive you from A to B, to get you to where you want to go as safely and as efficiently as possible. He wants to do his job and go home. That's it, right? No one goes to work to get abuse. But for some unknown reason, there are people that use the buses that think it's acceptable, and they're just morons. Um, how did I cope with it? Well, me personally, um, if someone got on and they're throwing their toys out at me, quite often I'd just sit there and stare at them. Like, because the reason they do it is to get a response out of you, and the second you give them that response, you've lost. So what I would do is I'll just sit and look at them. Like, are you seriously saying that? I'm not giving them the response they want. So generally, they would either get back off or go and sit down and shut up. Um, but yeah, I've had all sorts. I've been called every name under the sun a million and one times. Very unoriginal. Um, I had one woman turn around and say to me, "I hope your kids get cancer." I was like, "Thanks for that. You're still not traveling. You're especially not traveling now." Um, yeah, all sorts. Yeah, people think that they're big, they're clever. They're really not. They're two a penny, literally two a penny. They're nothing. Any other questions? I might do these lives a little bit more often, as I've got a bit of spare time around me now. What do you think? Do you think I should do a few more lives? I was doing lives on the PlayStation, doing gaming, to try and limit the yes, okay, to try and limit the dead time, um, and also give me something to focus on. And me and Lee play online quite a lot. It's very nice to speak to you, Katie, as well, and have a bit of a catch up. Do you see a lot of foreigners as a bus driver? Depends on the season. During the summer, you have students coming over, and they come in batches. So you get French students, and then a month later or a few weeks later you have Spanish, Italian, yeah, and you'll get a lot of them as well. But during the winter months, not so much. You get a few. Trying to understand what they're saying sometimes can be interesting. Yeah, I've actually got a short of a non-English speaking lady down at the Holstein messing up the English language. What was it? Oh, how was it? She got on and the first thing she said in her accent was Pamela Squirts, and I was like, "Excuse me." She said it again, Pamela Squirts, and I'm thinking to myself, "You're not meaning what you're saying. What are you actually meaning?" And I was trying to work it out, and I come to the conclusion that she was trying to say Palmyra Square. So I said yes. I go to Palmyra Square. Obviously, I'm trying not to laugh, and so she gets on, goes sits down. I get to Palmyra Square on the Brighton Hove buses, as you may or may not know. The bus stop names come out over the over the saloon. So I get to Palmyra Square, and she doesn't get off. So now I'm thinking either she's missed her stop at Palmyra Square, or she was giving me some rather personal information about someone called Pamela. But yeah, you do get that. It can be quite funny sometimes. Imagine driving a school bus in the afternoon. That would be worse. I've driven a school bus in the afternoon and I hated it. Absolutely hate doing school buses in the afternoon. They're so full of energy and they can be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, there are designated school buses, but also service buses that go near the schools as well. Cop it. And the worst one actually is when you're not meant to be doing a school bus, but you get into half term or end of term, and the schools have a half day because for some unknown reason, even though the bus companies know this happens every single year, they can't communicate with the school and get the school buses there for when the children actually finish. So when they have a half day and you're the service bus, God, it's a nightmare. The last time I had that was on a 5B going past Bonding College. And yeah, they literally, I think it was four, maybe five service buses all left that school full and standing, which is fine for them. But the trouble is you can't pick anyone else up on the route that wants to get on with their normal day. Yeah, that's exactly right, Katie. That is certainly. Is it Katie or Kate? Kate. That is certainly. You certainly do feel like you want extra pay for that. Oddly, every time I had that, I mentioned it to the bus company and said to them, "Why can't you just have communication with the schools and find out when their half days are and get the school buses to the schools so that doesn't happen?" But they never have. In 23 years, they've never done it, so they probably never will. But yeah, school bus is not my favourite. Which, as I say, I've applied for that school run in a minibus for special needs children. I think the difference there is the amount, and with the one that I've applied for, there's someone sat dealing with the kids, so I just have to focus on driving. Whereas on a school bus, you're it. You're driving and you're having to keep an eye on up to 100 kids, so that are all hyped up because they've just come out of school. So there's quite a big difference there. Yeah. Any other questions? I need to get a new coil. Did I drive buses at night? Did you ever have to call the cops? I did used to drive buses at night. I was actually on the night rota for a short amount of time covering, and I've had a stint on the late rota as well. Have I ever had to call the cops? Yes, I have. I had, how can I say it on YouTube? I had someone who someone who likes younger people, shall we say, on the bus, who inappropriately touched a younger person on the bus. The younger people came down and reported it to me. So I was like, okay, obviously it's a difficult situation. So what I did was, okay, do you want to make an official complaint? To which they said yes. So I said to them, okay, sit downstairs at the back, out the way. I phoned the police. While I was waiting for the police to turn up, this guy actually come downstairs to ask what the hold up was. So I just said to him, an allegation's been made against someone on the vehicle. I can't move the vehicle from this location, and I can't let anyone leave the vehicle because of the nature of the allegation. So if you wouldn't mind going back upstairs and taking your seat, we'll be on our way as soon as this is resolved. And he did it. He just went straight back upstairs, sat down. Police turned up. Obviously, I took a note of where he was in the CCTV monitor. Police turned up. I pointed him out. They went upstairs. They knew him. Went upstairs, called him by name, and took him away. But yeah, I've had fights start up on the bus where I've had to call the police. I've had to call the police so many times. How many attempts did it take for me to pass my bus driving test? I passed on the first go. Yeah, which I was quite surprised at. So the way Brighton and Hove do it, or when I passed, you'd have one driver going from Lewis Road to New Haven, another driver going from New Haven to Lewis Road, and that's just how they did it. I did mine New Haven. I started in New Haven. New Haven was where you done your reversing, emergency stop, and all of that. So we were all told that you need to be careful with the emergency stop because if you slide the bus, it's an instant fail. So I've done my reverse up into the bay, ready to do my emergency stop. So I've accelerated when the examiner said, right, stop. I stopped, and it sounded like I slid the bus. It sounded like I skidded. So I just thought to myself, well, that's that fuck then. But we'd treat it as a practice run. We just do it, do your best, and we'll see how we get on. So that's what I did. I drove it. Had a really tight maneuver in Lewis. There was a lorry unloading, and it was really tight. So I got through there, carried on, pulled into Lewis Road, and I passed. And I actually said to the examiner, I thought I failed. I thought I slid the bus in Newhaven. He said, no, he said that was just the sound of the concrete and the air making that noise. He did flag up the lorry in Lewis. He said you could have just waited. He said the guy had just got out on the other side, so you could have waited. I said, well, to be fair, I said, your vantage point is a lot different to mine. I said, I didn't see him. He said, no, he said, you've done it fine. You've done it perfectly, actually, but you could have, I'm just saying, no, you could have waited. So, yeah, I passed first time. I have certainly seen some stuff, Kate. Yeah, that was probably the worst one I've had, but drunk people, they can be quite funny. I had a woman on Sunday morning, this was 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning down at Brighton Marina. So not even that early, but I've pulled round onto the stop, and this woman, she's completely off her face. She's got on, she's holding on to the bars, holding herself up. She's asked for a single, so it's all set to give her a ticket. She's opened her purse upside down, and her money's just gone boom all over the floor. I was like, here we go. So she's bent down to pick her money up, fallen over. So now she's crawling around on the floor, picking up all her money, put it all back into her purse, stood back up, opened her purse, boom, there it goes again. So I was like, okay, here we go. So she finally picked all her money up again, paid for her fare. And I just thought, I'm not even releasing the handbrake. I'm not even closing the doors until she is sat down. Right, so she's bouncing off the walls going up the bus. Where the fold-down seats are for the buggies and wheelchair, there's a pole there. So she's grabbed hold of this pole. She's gone completely round the pole, smack onto the floor. I was, oh dear. 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. I was, honestly, she obviously had a good night out. How do you cope with shift work? Did you work mornings, afternoon, nights every week? So yeah, initially it's a struggle, shift work, purely because of the amount of time that you get off in between shifts. Going from lates to earlies was terrible, like with maybe one day off in between. That was the worst one. But equally, going from earlies to lates is difficult as well. You don't get a regular sleeping pattern. And I did actually write out a big thing and gave it to them on how they could change that. And so it didn't have to be shift work. But the bus company, being the bus company, not interested. Obviously not their idea. But yeah, not interested. But I ended up on my own rota line. So I only did mornings in the end. So My sense of humour helps. Yeah, you definitely need a sense of humour. Okay, Katie, thanks for joining the live script, the live stream. I'll see you in the future. Have a good day or night, whatever. You're in America, aren't you? So yeah, whatever it is you're up to, have a good time. Do you often get compliments from passengers? Who more often give you compliments, men or women? Not many. Not many. The best compliment you generally get from passengers, without asking them, is if they don't say anything to you. If they get off thanks drive, if they get off with a thanks drive, there's not been anything to upset them. They've got off good as gold. You know, their journey's been as it should be. I've had someone come up to me where workmen had suddenly closed off a slip road that you use on the 5B down at Preston Circus. And I had to go the wrong side of the island. Luckily, they had workmen there to stop the traffic. But I had to turn around, reverse into a driveway, which went down with a building overhanging. So I had to be mindful of that and basically turn around. And a guy that was stood next to me while I was doing it, he said, "That was excellent, driver, well done." But yeah, you get little comments like that. Who gives more compliments, men or women? Don't know. Couldn't tell you. I'd imagine it's a pretty even ratio, but I couldn't tell you. I know there are drivers that are constantly saying right into the company, you know, la-di-da-di-da. I was never one of those drivers. The only time I had someone phone in with a compliment for me was that one where I got that guy arrested off the bus for liking two younger people a little bit too much. That's the only time I've had someone phone in. Any other questions? Okay, it's been an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm going to end this stream. Thank you very much for joining and participating. Katie, you got top spot in the top fan chat thing that YouTube does, and Lucas, you got second, which means I'm assuming W, you're third. It's not actually telling me, but yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please do hit the like and subscribe button. Check out the links in the description. Any support that can be given to the channel and me would be very much appreciated. And I will see you again in the next video or the next live stream. Have a good day, everyone.